Fire escape engineers inspector summary video. Here we are in Princeton, New Jersey, and what we have here is a fire escape that is an all welded structure, 100% welded, most likely almost built here on site. 100% welded flats, 100% welded frames, 100% welded ladder. So fire escape does not pass the confidence test at this time. It's got a few issues, so it cannot proceed immediately to a load test, and it cannot be certified at this time. Due to the fact that it's all welded, we now have to basically either x-ray all these welds. Every single one of these welds need to be x-rayed or load tested, but sometimes you have to x-ray prior to a load test, or to avoid that load test, we can actually just put bolts in all these connections. So every single one of these connections, we're going to go into detail as to what you need to do, treads and all, if they're all welded. And what we have to do to satisfy to avoid the load test. The authority having jurisdiction shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength. So I'm mainly going to talk about other evidence of strength to avoid the load test. So first of all, you need a paint job. The EPA has decreed that all fire escapes older than 1978 are presumed to have lead. So you cannot weld anymore in fire escapes that have lead. So that's as of 2010. It's a $35,000 fine. So again, only bolted connection repairs can be made on these fire escapes. So let's start. Ladder. Ladder's a problem. This folds out. This flops out. Aside from having a problem right here, I don't even know what this thing is doing. I don't know if you have to force that open, but it looks like it's locked here, locked there. I don't know. Maybe it comes back. Yeah, it does. And you have to lift it up by hand. That's what it is. But again, when you release this, should this go down, this is going to crunk somebody on the head. It's illegal. So this modification has been done to a lot of fire escape ladders, but it's an illegal modification. This ladder can be permanently affixed on one side, can be permanently affixed all the way down. They can make it into a slider, and somehow above this we're going to have a contraption of some sort with weights and such to let this slide. Or you can make it in such a way that the fire escape is a fold-out ladder, and that is a fold-out ladder that looks like a drain pipe that goes all the way to the ground. That hits the ground, but then it opens out to a ladder. So we'll discuss that with the client, but this cannot happen, and in some cases you can put one of these ladders so that the last rung is only 7 to 9 feet off the ground with the permission of the fire official. All right, let's talk about the ladder. Is all done as far as it needs to, when you release it, it needs to drop 2 to 3 feet per second, hit the ground, and stay down. All these welded connections and all these rails, you need to rebolt all the major structural, all the minor structural, which is these bars here. Those can stay. You just need to verify it. Even though they're welded, you just need to verify it. No bolts needed here, but all the posting, tiebacks, everything must have a bolt. All these posts must have a bolt, must have a bolt. Anything that's a welded connection, to avoid having to x-ray or load test it, you have to bolt it. You have to create a bolt. So you have to create a bolt connector here. You have to connect here with a gusset. Everything needs a bolt that's a post. Clips. Let's take a look at this platform. The frame on the outside of this platform needs to be bolted. All these flats now, even though they're welded, they're minor structural. As long as they're in good order, you don't have to rebolt all the flats, but the frame all the way around you do. The main flats that hold this, these have to be bolted back to the structure, but the main flats that run across, you don't, okay? Let's talk about the stringers. The stringers at the bottom and at the top, they need to be bolted. They're currently welded, they need to be bolted. The treads, any tread that has rust, like this one, you got to clean all the rust out of all the treads. So that means you have to go and cut with the underneath. You have to cut the welds and break these treads out, and then clean them and prime them, and then silicone shut them back into position. But you can't weld these back into position. They can be bolted back into position. So an angle clip underneath is going to clip it to the side, and then it's going to clip it from above. So, but it's going to be underneath so that the water doesn't get there and eat. So no, I don't want any top clips. I want underneath clips. That basically, and any of these treads that are in good order, they stay. They get cleansed. You silicone shut everything from the top, but then underneath, I need 2 3/8 bolts going sideways and 2 3/8 bolts coming from above, holding the tread into position. And then all this must be sealed with silicone so that these welds no longer get deteriorated. We got openings here. In case somebody was to fall, they're going to get their legs trapped in here. So you need another line here and another line here. All these welded posts, rebolted. Any rust in any connection, you got to clean it and then rebolt it. Rebolt it here. All these treads rebolted. Silicone shut all the tops. If you got any rust, like this one does, this tread's got to come out first, cleansed, and then put back in with the bolt. You need an angle clip here, with a bolt that way and a bolt this way. That eliminates the need for the load test. A lot of times you have to seal these to the roof, and a lot of times they rest on a pressure-treated piece of wood. Otherwise, that steel is eating the roof, and it's going to cause problems. So at this time, you may want to seal it and tar it, but then the next time a roofer comes in here, we need to basically get a pressure-treated piece of wood underneath there, so that that thing is acting not on the roof shingle, it's acting on a pressure-treated piece of wood. Through bolted. You got to go inside and verify with a camera that the through bolts are all in good order, and they seem to be. There seems to be no listing of any kind going on here. Any welded connection near the roof line because of snow, bolt it, then seal it with tar so that those don't rot out. This frame is just like the lower frame. 100% of the frame needs to be rebolted. The flats, only these flats going this way, need to be rebolted at either end. These flats, because they're welded, if they're in good order, they stay. They're good. All the bars don't need to be rebolted, but the posting at the ends must be done. See, it's already pulling away from the building a little bit. Okay, you gotta reconnect it back into the building and find out if it's pulling away in any way. This side has this. One of the issues that came up with the inspector is that it's rotting. So 2 pieces of steel got put together. They need to be cleansed, and then you gotta clean it, prime it, silicone shut it, and then rebolt it. No welding. You can't weld on this fire escape due to the lead issue. These through bolts you need to verify on the inside, and that is, with a simple little 1-inch hole on the inside, you're going to be able to find out what's going on with that. So structural, rebolting everywhere. And then a full paint job. Fire escape must be scraped and painted. All the chips must be collected. Make sure you have a plastic downstairs, and you follow EPA rules. You also must follow EPA and and OSHA requirements for your men regarding touching lead and touching anything that's hazardous to them. So, any questions on this? The fire escape will need a permit in order to perform any work here, and it will need engineer oversight. Engineer oversight will the engineer of oversight will provide a report for the city official, explain to him how he's going to spot repair this fire escape and then load test it, or provide the city official, the building department, a document that says how he's going to reinforce the fire escape to avoid the load test. So again, engineer oversight required to perform this and sign off on this fire escape. A permit is required by the repair vendor who is using that report to do this work. And that it'll either conclude in a load test or it'll conclude in a certification to avoid the load test, because 100% of all the connections were cleansed and repaired, and 100% of all the welded connections were rebolted to avoid the load test. Any questions? Fire escape engineers, Inspector Manessas here. 866-649-0333. 866-649-0333.